Join us today on Beyond the Lair, where we have a great conversation with George Chayka, Senior Vice President of Business for the BC Lions. George shares with us the evolution and the rise of the BC Lions and what incredible social impacts and initiatives are being created on and off the field. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Lair. My name is Gina Jackson Montgomery. Welcome to the show.
And I'm Dean Montgomery.
Welcome, George Chayka, Senior Vice President, Business Operations of the BC Lions. He has been working with the BC Lions since 1992. George has worked in all different areas of the business, and the BC Lions has moved from a team that we used to see for my age and for our age that we used to watch when we were kids to an anomaly of an amazing CFL team that's grown exponentially and is one of the top teams in respect of change-making, trailblazing, and leadership. I think that all of the other teams in the CFL watch. George has worked as Director of Marketing. You've been a sports agent. You've been a player yourself with SFU. And welcome to our show. We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you, Gina. It's a pleasure to be here.
Can you maybe tell us exactly how you started, where you grew up, what your childhood and adulthood, young adulthood life has moved you into the position that you are right now?
Wow. Well, that's going back a couple of years, but I grew up in Chilliwack. I went to Sardis Secondary. I wasn't really involved in sports a whole bunch when I was growing up. It was really when I met a fellow that became my best friend, Rick Clausen, in grade 8, that I really started to play sports. And he was an outstanding athlete. He was the best in whatever sport he played in. He and I became best friends going through high school. We played football together, basketball together, and we both ended up getting a scholarship to Simon Fraser. We were both recruited by UBC. And we went through our SFU years together. He ended up being a territorial protection of the BC Lions Football Club in 1981, which was a pretty significant accomplishment. Back then, each CFL team was allowed to protect 2 players from going into the draft because he played football in British Columbia. Each team was allowed to protect 2 players so that you had that homegrown talent being with the host CFL team, and something I think we should have again that I think would be good for the league. But, regardless, he had an outstanding career with BC Lions Football Club. I didn't play pro. It was a goal of mine to get drafted. I ended up breaking my leg in my senior year. I didn't get drafted. And I always knew that if I was going to be a pro football player, I would have been a special teams backup type of role, which I was fine with. But when that opportunity didn't present itself, I sort of had to grow up and figure out what I wanted to do because I couldn't play anymore. And, I worked as a graduate assistant coach at Simon Fraser for a year. I finished off my degree. Rick went on to have an outstanding career with the BC Lions Football Club. He was the most outstanding Canadian in the 1983 Grey Cup that we had here. And when it came time to negotiate his second contract, I said to him, Rick, why don't you let me negotiate your contract? I know you better than anybody. I grew up with you. So he said, yeah, let's do that. And quite a story there with regards to Bob Ackles, who was the general manager of the Lions at the time before he went to the NFL. And, everything I did was in close discussion with Rick, but we ended up holding him out of training camp. And eventually he got back to the BC Lions in training camp, but, he was able to secure a very good contract. He was the highest paid third-year Canadian in the history of the CFL at that time. And it was a unique environment in the Canadian Football League because you had the USFL that was starting up. There were opportunities for players there, but he'd established himself as one of the top defensive linemen. Actually was an offensive lineman when he was originally drafted. The Lions ended up moving him to defensive line, and funny story there. The first game that he ever got into, he got a sack on his first play. And, when I alluded to his outstanding athletic ability, that's something that he brought. But more importantly, and this is what all the great ones have, is they have that passion and they have that drive. and they want to win. Above all, they want to win. And, Rick brought that attitude and that passion in spades, and it was a big contributor to success he had in whatever sport he took on. So, really that kind of got me on a trajectory of being an agent. I ended up, and another funny story that maybe I can share is that I can remember, when the Lions were playing out of Empire Stadium, Bob Ackel's office was there. And I remember going into his office and having a meeting with him and letting him know that I was going to be representing Rick. And, he probably looked at me and thought, who is this kid? He's got this gold on, these gold rings. And, I remember coming out of that office thinking to myself, that's what I want to do. I want to work for management with the BC Lions Football Club. And, what I found is that if you're doing a good job for your players, you're not always management's best friend. And, I talk about holding Rick out of training camp. I ended up representing 40 players during my time in the CFL, some very good players. And there are other times I held players out of training camp to make a point and try to get the best contract I could for the players. But my attitude always was, if the club cannot appreciate the job I'm trying to do for my players, then I don't think the club could appreciate the job I could do for the club. So that was sort of my mantra. And, from that, it took me 10 years before I got hired by the BC Lions Football Club. And I always thought that I would get started on the football side of the operation. Bob Wabilovich was the head coach at the time, and he'd actually told me that at the end of the season, he wanted to bring me in as the head of Canadian scouting. So I was all set in my mind that at the end of that, I think it was the 91 season, that I was going to be working for the BC Lions and football operations. And when the end of the season came, we'd actually lost last game of the year, didn't make the playoffs. Doug Flutie was our quarterback at the time, and they had a young quarterback, McPherson, who played for Hamilton, who came in and had a heck of a game. And he said to me at the end of the season, he said, look, I know I was going to hire you in football ops, but our owner, who was Murray Pesum at the time, didn't want to invest any more money on the football operations side. So he said, we've got a new president. I know he wants to hire some salespeople. I don't know if that's what you're interested in. I said, yeah, I just want to get my foot in the door. And so from there, it just led to a whole bunch of different positions with the BC Lions Football Club. And here I am today.
What are the different positions? So I know that marketing is huge, and sports hasn't become just a spectator sport. There's a huge market and revenue stream, not just from the fans that attend the games, but in the marketing of the games. And just recently, and Dean and myself and our children attended one of the games where you had 50 Cent come and play. And of course, with the upcoming Grey Cup, which we'll get into as well, with the Jonas Brothers and big names that are coming up, where this becomes more of an entertainment family event in addition to watching a football game.
Yeah, it's sports is different today than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago from the marketing standpoint. You're always, I don't think anything's changed from the standpoint that you're always trying to create the best game experience you can for your fans, and the playing on the field or on the ice or on the court. I mean, that's always part and parcel of having an entertaining product, but it's what happens in between the plays, around the plays. Probably the most significant, I think, realization in pro sports in Vancouver was when the Vancouver Grizzlies came to town, and the in-game experience that the NBA had brought to sports that gave Vancouver fans the first opportunity to understand that there's more than just what happens between the lines on the field or on the court. And, the involvement of the game, the direct one-to-one marketing, the communication, that's all continually evolved with the information that you can gather about your fans. It's all about customer relationships. It's all about growing that fandom. And, with the owner we have today with Amar Doman, I mean, he's heavily invested in the club. He's invested in our brand. It's become a tradition with our home opener that he's brought an A-list opening act. And, we had, as you mentioned, Gina, we had 50 Cent. We had over 50,000 fans at our home opener this year. And, between the groups and the bands that, we brought in the last 3 years, by far, 50 Cent moved the needle the fastest. But I think also that Lions fans are starting to understand that it is a big time event. And then that's been a goal of Amar's and our team, is to make sure that the Lions are front and center as far as an affordable family entertainment option, not only from a customer experience standpoint, but from entertainment on the product on the field. And that's something that we're looking to carry through right to the Grey Cup that we're hosting this November.
Yeah, I think it's been amazing, watching the past couple of years, and I've gotten more and more back into the CFL, I think, because my kids are gotten older and I have a little bit more time, and so really appreciative of that. I think the whole community is. We're off to Chilliwack this weekend. We're running a youth camp, a Bears Lair Youth Entrepreneur Camp with Chiam, with Chief Darwin Douglas, a good friend of ours. Super excited. It's always a highlight, but that community that you're bringing, that the BC Lions are bringing. Can you talk a little bit about more of that and how it's turned into not only great shows, but initiatives like Orange Shirt Day?
Yeah, one of the pillars of the BC Lions brand is to help build better communities, and we do that through working with youth. Our community relations department is headed by Jamie Terrace. We'll do close to 150 school visits over the course of the year. And I always refer to our partnerships as year-long partnerships, because really the programs that we run, and Dean, you mentioned Orange Shirt Day. We'll get into that a little later, but there's so many that we run, from our Be More Than a Bystander program on educating youth about the importance of respecting women and helping to end violence against women, gender violence. We have our Team Up to End Racism program that was near and dear to our players' hearts that we've brought into schools. We've got over 100 school wait lists for that program. We've got our Orange Shirt Day program that we started 4 years ago. After the first year, with regards to what we saw as a need for creating awareness around truth and reconciliation, we wanted to do something to help inspire youth, First Nations youth, and our players run flag football camps throughout the Lower Mainland as part of that program, and helping to empower our youth, teaching them the basics of teamwork, of self-esteem, of setting goals, of accomplishment. Been just a fantastic program as well. We've got our Tell Us Why's Huddle Up Against Bullying program, teaching youth about different types of bullying that are out there, particularly cyberbullying, and how to protect themselves. We've got our Lions Pride program, working with at-risk youth, particularly, talking to them about the power of choice and how that relates to hopefully staying out of gangs. Some incredible stories there that we've had from students that have been involved in that program and how they've cited that program, and being involved with football is helping to change the course and direction of their life. And then, of course, our amateur football programs that we run. We'll measure probably about 1,500 youth, how far they can kick a football, punt a football, throw a football. We'll bring the champions from each of those 15 different minor football associations to a game. It's actually going to happen prior to our Montreal game this Saturday, and we'll determine the provincial champions for each age group in that particular level for each of those particular divisions. And then, of course, our Play with the Pros program, working with young boys and girls, teaching them the basics of football, understanding flag football, and again, building on those attributes that make football such a great game with regards to teamwork, with regards to discipline, with regards to goal setting, with regards to achievement. And I think that is the real power of sport, is bringing people together. I don't think there's a more diverse sport with different types of individuals, be it ethnic backgrounds, be it body types, be it size. You need everybody on a football team working together to help accomplish a goal and being the best that they can be. And we're very proud of the programs that we run. But, going back to the point of what I mentioned, when I say we'll do about 150 school visits between all of those different programs, that's an average. We'll do our activation primarily between January and May. That's an average of 2 school visits every day between January and May, where our players are traveling all around the province, talking to youth about any one of those different programs that I just referenced. And then during the season, we recognize our partners, because we can't make these programs happen without partners. We've got an outstanding group of partners that help us deliver that message, who share the same values. And it's those messages and acknowledgement that we like to provide our partners during the course of the season. So I really refer to our community programs as year-round partnerships, activation in the off-season, and then awareness and recognition during the season, which makes it a year-round program.
Yeah, those numbers are amazing. I'd love to, I think everyone should know those numbers within Vancouver, the Lower Mainland, or even outside of it in BC. That's a lot of impact that you're making. And I know you look at it like a family. I know when, you'll get into with Gina about what you've been doing for Orange Shirt Day, but we were up there watching the game with you, and Gina said something, and I know you said, "Gina, you're part of the family now. Don't worry about it." And I think you really feel that when you're around your whole team. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, no, we're very appreciative of our partners.
Absolutely. And I think that sport makes such a difference in so many youth. And if you don't have that succinct family, that core nuclear family that some of us have, some of us don't, then your team really becomes your family. And that was part of the themes of Orange Shirt Day this year, was paddling together. And this is the 4th year that the BC Lions have brought acknowledgement to Orange Shirt Day, not as just people, unknowingly wearing orange shirts, but to look into a sea of thousands and thousands of people that are elevating and really raising Indigenous people up in their values, and just knowing the why, and creating a video every year. So maybe you can bring us back 4 years ago, because I know the BC Lions were the first CFL team to do something like this, to acknowledge it. And what can we do to bring awareness to this on that grander level that you do with all your other programs? So how did this come about?
Well, it was really fortuitous at the end of the day, because I can remember, I think it was around May, I can remember laying on the couch after a day of work and watching global news, and the news came up about the 215 unmarked graves at Kamloops Indian Residential School. And, I was just listening and watching the whole broadcast and thinking, wow, like what a shame with all of these children that are in unmarked graves. And, as the news came out more and more about different schools that were finding unmarked graves, watching that whole program and it started to reference Orange Shirt Day and Phyllis Webstad and what it meant to create awareness for residential school survivors. And I'd never heard of Orange Shirt Day prior to that broadcast. And I looked on my phone, I Googled it and saw that it started in 2013 in Williams Lake. And I thought to myself, there's got to be something that we can do. I mean, the BC Lions color is orange. There's got to be something that we can do to help create awareness around this issue and help to, make more people aware of what actually happened around Kamloops or around Indian residential schools. And, sure enough, the next morning I got an email from the executive director of the Indian Violence Association of BC, who's a partner of ours in our Be More Than a Bystander program that I referenced earlier. And a friend of hers had reached out to her and said, Tracy, do you think that the BC Lions would like to get involved with the Orange Shirt Day? And I said, yeah. I said, leave this with me. Let me talk to our leadership team and I'll get back to you. So we had a meeting later that day. I spoke to our management team and everyone was on side with the program. So that set in motion a whole catalyst of events because, we thought to ourselves, there's an opportunity here. There's so much synergy between our colors, between Orange Shirt Day. Reached out to Phyllis Webstad, had conversations there, reached out to the province, John Horgan and Melanie Mark and contacted a number of different other companies. BC Hydro was involved, Fortis was involved, and in a very short time frame, we were able to be able to put together that program. And one of the things that, I was particularly touched by is, as I got to know Phyllis Webstad and got to understand her story, she actually, when we had a press conference to announce the program, and we unveiled the logo, and I'll get to that because that's a whole other story. But, we commissioned an artist, Corinne Hunt, to redesign our BC Lions logo in an Indigenous format. And I can remember at the press conference when we unveiled that logo, our social media blew up. Like, our marketing people had never seen anything like that with regards to the reaction and the response. And Phyllis Webstad, before that press conference that we had at BC Place, where we were announcing that we were giving away 10,000 orange T-shirts with the logo on the shirt, Phyllis had showed me a little mini orange BC Lions football. She said, I wanted to bring this, and I wanted to tell the story that back in 2013, when she had her first orange shirt day that started in Williams Lake, she'd reached out to the BC Lions, and I guess we had sent her a box of little mini orange footballs to help support the event. And she said she looked at that orange football and she said to herself that, wouldn't it be wonderful one day if we could fill BC Place with orange T-shirts? And I thought that was just the coolest story. And she shared that story at that press conference, and something that, we were very proud of. But I think, from our standpoint, what we were most proud of, if, there's a saying that imitation is the greatest form of flattery. And based on, what we've seen with other pro sports teams adopting, a similar program to what we've done now, every team in the Canadian Football League celebrates and creates recognition around Truth and Reconciliation for Orange Shirt Day. If that replication is the greatest form of flattery, we're awfully flattered, because being the first that we know of to be able to utilize our platform to help create awareness around truth and reconciliation and what we're doing and working with First Nation youth is something we're very proud of.
And it's an incredible event, because I know that we had met, I believe, the second year that you had done this. And through a friend of ours, Robin
Chakrabarty.
Yeah, Chakrabarty introduced us and said, I've got to introduce you to George, and George, I've got to introduce you to Gina. And as you know, entrepreneurs are really important to what we represent. And we have the TV show, The Bears Lair, and we had met about how we could work together in just respect. He didn't know how, but we knew that we needed to work together somehow, and we put the vendors. So for the second year, I believe we put the vendors, Indigenous vendors could apply to be part of a free, where they were allowed to promote their businesses in a free space, where we had so many thousands of people come in and out. And it was just such a nice addition to this. And now it's the fourth year, and people are absolutely thrilled about it. I've spent way too much money there.
Yeah, sales are high.
Sales are high. We talked to all of them, and the notoriety is there. Everything from your street show, where you have DJ O show, where you have Indigenous DJs, and who was the band this year that played the DJ?
Hallucination.
It used to be a Tribe Called Red.
Used to be a Tribe Called Red, and everybody knows that. And I love everything from the video that you do, because you do a commemorative video every single year. And this year, there was Lacey Baker, who's a member of the Squamish Nation. She's a female soccer player and athlete, and the whole premise was paddling together. So whether you are a family, whether you're a team, whether you're an organization, if you paddle, everyone is in the same direction and they're focused on the same end game, then you're unstoppable. And we metaphorically described it in the video that if you're in a canoe and you have one person that's paddling, you just go around in circles. And if you have two people in a canoe, then you get a little bit forward. But when somebody is in the canoe, metaphorically, when the whole family or tribe or business is paddling together, it's really important. And I know that one of your athletes, J.R. LaRose, who used to play for the BC Lions and is an Indigenous player as well, he has made such a difference. Can maybe you talk about him and what he's accomplished with the BC Lions?
Yeah. And even his rise to get there. Like it's an amazing story.
It is an amazing story, and he shares it. And he's been a critical and key representative for our Be More Than a Bystander program when we started it. He's a Cree descendant from One Arrow First Nation, and his story is a personal one, where his father was African American and his mother was Cree descent, and when they had split up, his mother had some drug addiction issues that was very difficult for him, and it's something that he persevered through, and sport was an outlet for him, and really, I think from a standpoint of sport is healing, that was, you mentioned the videos, Gina. Last year we did the video through the help of the committee to recognize and understand the importance of sport, because for the elders from residential school, sports was an escape of them to be able to not only heal, but to forget, help forget, help for a moment, get away from the situations that they were dealing with. And I think that cultural relevance is very important in the First Nation community. But, from JR, his involvement with our Be More Than a Bystander program, he's been an integral part of what we've done. I know that he's now a very accomplished speaker. He speaks all over the country with regards to these issues. We're proud of the fact that he's a BC Lions alumni. I think he played 7 years for the BC Lions. He's got a Grey Cup championship during his time with us, and he's got a story that really provides hope and provides an understanding for other First Nation youth, any youth for that matter, regardless of race, religion, or creed, that, with determination and perseverance and commitment, you can achieve great things. And very proud of the work that JR's done, not only for the BC Lions, but for the work that he's doing in communities across Canada currently.
Yeah. I mean, I had the opportunity to chat with him at the game. Another thing is that, coming out of Edmonton, he was playing junior football, and he made it onto the Lions, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, he started with the Eskimos actually, and had an injury that kept him from playing for a year. And then when we brought him into the BC Lions, he was able to earn a roster spot. And the work that he did in the community for us was outstanding as well. And the BC Lions were a home for him. I think he'll second that motion as well.
I think with all of the programs that the BC Lions supports, including as of late the Orange Shirt program and Day, have you ever had any stories of any youth that you've inspired that have come up through your programs and actually either are employed by the BC Lions or have played for the BC Lions, or have some stories that have, I'm sure you have lots that testimonials from kids, how this has changed their life. We get that a lot with our kids camps as well. So I'm sure that you have a lot of stories, and maybe you want to share one or two with us. Yeah.
There's our Lions Pride program that I talked about with working with at-risk youth. There was one individual, he said that, this program really has helped save his life. And from a standpoint of, what his goals were, what he felt he was able to turn his life direction around through participation in that program, and understanding that he's got skills, that it's not all, feeling that you need to be, adopted by, a gang. Really there are teams. There's good in playing sport, and particularly understanding the basics of football, understanding that he had a talent for it. He actually ended up getting a scholarship in the U.S. And, we've had a lot of testimonials from schools, our Indigenous youth program that I talked about with our players going to communities. And we were out in Mission, in Chilliwack, and working with urban Indigenous youth in Surrey and Vancouver, and most recently on the North Shore, and working with Musqueam youth. I know in the Surrey program, leader of Frankfurt Secondary has sent a note saying that, this by far was the most engagement that he had seen from Indigenous kids wanting to be part of this program. And part of the initiative is that, it's about being respectful in school, about attending classes. But he said that he'd never seen engagement like this from kids that had no other engagement through any other sport activities that were happening in the school. So, I think we're just touching the ground on this program. I think as a league, we're just touching the ground on this program. I think there's a tremendous amount of growth and opportunity here to help make a difference in more lives. And that's something that we're looking forward to continue to pursue.
Yeah. As a leader and a leader for a great organization, what have you had to do to create the buy-in? If you were to give it advice we have a lot of entrepreneurs listening to this show, and business leaders, but you've really done it on a very high level. And do you have any advice that you would give to leadership and how to get the buy-in for the whole team?
Well, number one, you've got to believe in it. If you're going to have buy-in from anyone, you've got to be committed at the top, and you've got to have the support from the top. And if that starts with a business leader, as an entrepreneur, believe in your dream. If you can't believe it, you're not going to be able to sell it. And, it's about getting commitment. It's about getting buy-in. It's about getting, I call it, social investment, be it whether it's monetary, be it whether it's support. I think that belief in yourself, belief in your program, and belief that, you can help make a difference is essential for any success. And it's something that, I've always felt that if there was a program that we wanted to start, maybe I've been fortunate because, the light comes on and, you need to be looking for it. You need to be, you need to be aware of the opportunities that are there. But more importantly, you've got to have that purpose, because if you don't have that purpose, then people understand what your motivation might be. So you got to believe in yourself, and you got to believe in what you're trying to do, and you've got to believe in making a difference. And if you have those three qualities, then, I think you're on the right road to success.
I think that's such a great question and a great answer to that. I think it's the buzzword for reconciliation, reconciliation action plans for industry to have. And sometimes it's just paper in a binder that sits there, and people don't really look at that again because they're doing the right thing administratively. But I think what you're saying from the leadership and improving corporate culture from the very beginning for the right reasons is really important. And I'm so excited because we are going to Grey Cup, and we're really excited because we're bringing guests there. Can you tell us a little bit about Grey Cup? Because I know the last time Grey Cup was here was 2014.
10 years ago.
10 years ago. And it's in our city. I hope we're going to make it. Maybe BC Lions.
It's Louis Riel Day the day before. So we're going to be in Ontario with my family.
Yes,
and we're flying in Sunday morning.
That's awesome.
We're flying back for it. But you have experienced, let me see, I think you've got 4 Grey Cup rings. Is that correct?
I do.
Okay, let's talk about those. Let's talk about those games, and let's talk about the exciting opportunity. I mean, you've seen Grey Cup change every single year, and being it a decade ago, I know some really exciting things are planned for this city, and it's Grey Cup week. It's not just like one day, it's an entire week full of events. But how have you seen, and I know from a marketing VP of business senior VP, et cetera, how has this changed from decade to decade and to today?
Wow. Well, first of all, you want to talk about my rings. I'm very fortunate. I always say I'm very fortunate during my time with the Lions. I've got 4 Grey Cup rings. I'm even more fortunate. I never had to play it down of pro football to get one. So it's definitely a nice perk. But the first Grey Cup that I was part of a winning championship was in '94. We hosted against Baltimore. And that was the kick that Louis Passaglia made on the last play of the game for us to have a walk-off field goal winning the game. And one of the best experiences in my whole life. There's nothing like the first one. The first Grey Cup championship you win. And I can remember being in the locker room after the game, and the fellas were up on the stage, popping champagne and holding up the cup. And Denny Chronopoulos was one of our offensive linemen. He saw me and he said, "George, get up here. And, to go up on the stage with those guys, that was pretty special and something I'll never forget. And then 2000, winning the Grey Cup in 2000, that's actually this ring here. This was actually the first team in the history of the Canadian Football League that had a losing record during the regular season. We were 8-10 and ended up winning a Grey Cup championship. And that was pretty special. And then 2006, when we were in Calgary, we defeated Montreal Alouettes. Came down the last play of the game for us to secure the win. That was another highlight. And then, of course, 2011, when we played the Grey Cup at home and played against Winnipeg again and won the Grey Cup. That was a pretty special feeling. But, funny story, these rings keep getting bigger. Every year. There's 3 types of rings. There's a staff ring, executive ring, and a player's ring. And my first year was a staff ring in 94. So I wore that every day. And, I never took it off. And then we won in 2000. So I put this one on. I thought, I'm going to try wearing this for a week. And I thought, man, it's too big. Like you catch it you're trying to put your hand in your pocket, you bang it into everything. So I went back to the one from 94. So then we won in 06. And the 06 ring is another half size bigger. So it gets about halfway to my knuckle there. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try wearing this one for a week and see if I like it. So I put it on. And no, it's way too big. So I tried this one on and I thought, you know what? This feels not too bad. So I'm going to wear this one.
That's the one.
So I wore this one for another 5 years. So then we won in 2011. That one goes knuckle to knuckle and it's all diamonds. And I thought, man, okay, I'm going to try wearing this one for a week. I'm going to follow tradition. So I wore that one for, I think, a day or two. I thought, there's no way. It's way too big. So I thought, well, maybe I'll try the 06 one now. Maybe that'll feel it. And I tried the 06 one on for a couple of days. I said, no, that's too big. And so this one feels like a wedding band. So I wear this one all the time. Mind you, I always say too, I've been divorced twice, and both those exes say I was married to my job more than I was to them. So I think this is what I refer to as a wedding band. Fortunately, my fiancée now, she understands the game, and I think I got it right the third time here. But
right. Yeah.
anyways, from
and she's lovely.
And, and velvet is Métis.
Velvet's Métis
as well.
Yes, and proud of it, and she's a big proponent of Orange Shirt Day as well. So, we're looking forward to getting married here soon. But, I think the other piece of the equation when you talk about, Grey Cups and how they've changed, we've got a phenomenal Grey Cup committee. Our owner, is very invested in Grey Cup. Riley Witchower, Dwayne Bino. Dwayne's got a lot of experience. He used to be really the Grey Cup lead for the Canadian Football League and putting on Grey Cup. So a tremendous amount of knowledge. Riley Witchower comes to us with a host of experience from the World Junior Hockey Championships. He's our executive director, and the whole Grey Cup team has just done a phenomenal job with regards to planning the events. We're going to have over 50 events that are going to take place from Grey Cup week leading up to the game. And, there's things that are free for the public to attend. There's paid events. We've got both convention centers. The East Convention Center is going to be focused on family entertainment. The West is going to be more of a party zone for adults. The gala dinner will take place there. All the team parties will take place in the West Convention Center. We've got the Save on Food Street Festival where we're going to have the whole street closed down between the East and West Convention Center. So, between the game and the festival, we're expecting about 500,000 visitors to that site over the course of the week. And then it culminates with the Grey Cup Championship game that's going to be played on Sunday, November 17th. We're going to have the Play Now street party that'll happen before the game. That's a free event. And then we're going to have the Lordco Auto Parts block party that'll be on the northeast corner of the stadium. That's going to be a spectacular event for people to gather and be part of. And it's just going to be an outstanding schedule. Obviously, we want to be in it regardless of who's in it. our fans and people from across Canada are going to have a fantastic time. And it's a significant event for the city of Vancouver and for British Columbia. The last Grey Cup we had generated over $120 million in economic activity. It won't be less. It'll be more for this Grey Cup that we're hosting in November. So very much looking forward to that experience.
And we hope to see a whole audience of orange, not just for Serendipitous to Orange Shirt Day or any of the 10,000 T-shirts that fans have received over the last couple years. But we don't really want to see a lot of green and whites, do we? We don't want to see a lot of green and whites around.
But I think each day since Orange Shirt Day that I've seen someone or a few people wearing them around Vancouver.
You do. It's everywhere. And it's at games all throughout the season, and wonderful to see people wearing that and wearing that logo that Corinne Hunt designed for us. I should have touched on that. Corinne Hunt actually helped design the 2010 Winter Olympic medals, and we're fortunate to be able to commission Corinne to design our logo. And, I'm not biased, but I think it's the best Indigenous logo in Canada. So I'll stick with it.
Absolutely. And I think being a way that's really authentic and genuine as well is that you support an Indigenous artist. You have vendors. You have the openings that are done by the anchor territorial nations that are here. So Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, Squamish. You also have Métis as well, and all other nations that are invited. And not only is there a focus on the youth, but the BC Lions has really made an extended effort out to all of the elders that have, number one, either attended residential school, residential day scholars that have got out, and their families for free tickets to come to the Orange Shirt Day with accommodations and special treatment. And I believe that you gave out scarves this year. And tell us a little bit about why it's really important to focus on the Indigenous elders and to make them really shown and raised up for this event.
Well, I think it's about understanding first and foremost, and it's about respect and really understanding what the elders have gone through, difficult times that they've been through, and a lot of them are still feeling those effects. I know Semplian Gonzalez from the Squamish Nation. He says, "I'm not a survivor, I'm a thriver." And, he's got the right attitude, and it's about helping instill the right attitude. And I think for the elders that have been affected by residential schools, if we can help instill a little bit of pride and appreciation in those people, I think that transcends future generations of Indigenous youth. And it's about the youth, continuing to grow, continuing to thrive, continuing to be stronger. And hopefully as a society, we're helping to make an influence through understanding and respect and association and creating a better Canada and a better place for everyone in society going forward.
Excellent. And I know that we were really lucky because we had the Bears Lair logo. It's been, I think, 2 years in a row that we've had the Bears Lair logo during part of the game on Orange Shirt Day. On Orange Shirt Day, as you can see it from the television, we've PVR'd it. So we get to look at that. So thank you for all of your support with what you do with us.
It's very cool for us to look at that.
Well, thank you, Gina. And, it's fortuitous that Robin made the introduction when he did for us because, our whole Indigenous marketplace, you were a catalyst in making that happen, and appreciate your support in that regard. And I know it's wonderful for our fans to be able to understand and experience the craftsmanship that a number of these Indigenous artists bring. And, I know last game, Velvet and I were walking around visiting some of the booths, and it's great to see the smile on people's faces and have them be part of it. And we just want to continue to grow it. And we can't do that without the support of our committee and people on the committee that are bringing ideas. We want to, help make it better each and every year. And through the support of people on the committee, that's something that we're going to continue to strive to do.
Speaking of that, you have so many different initiatives, which we pointed out, which you talked about today. If I was a listener to this and I wanted to get more involved as a volunteer, as a committee member, and how to help out, whether it's myself independently or an organization that wants to have that brand association of something that's so authentic and genuine, how would people find out about any of these initiatives?
If anyone wanted to be involved, feel free to reach out to myself. I'm on the website, gchayka@bclions.com, or Director of Community Relations, Community Partnerships, Jamie Terrace. He oversees all our programs, along with his staff, Brittany and their team. And, I just reach out to the club. Say you'd like to find out more and talk to someone about our community programs. And if there's an opportunity to help engage them, by all means, we'd welcome any support and partnership going forward.
I love that. And so let's talk a little bit about the future of your life. I know that you have a beautiful grandson, Gunnar, who's 2 years old. And for the audience who's listening and watching, George showed us a video where his son is doing sit-ups with his grandson, and then his grandson is 2 years old and doing sit-ups. I don't know if anyone has a toddler that's doing sit-ups right now, but it's pretty cute. Where do you see your future with the BC Lions? Is this as far as it goes? Are you going to continue being senior VP? Are you going to own the team pretty soon? What's the future?
No, I think Amar's doing a good job on the ownership standpoint.
Yeah.
But obviously, the BC Lions have been part of my life for over 30 years. Even going back to when I was a youth, I dreamed of playing for the BC Lions. So, I'm very fortunate that I've had the opportunity to be able to work for one sports team. In some ways, maybe it's, kind of hindered my growth in some ways. I think from a standpoint of having different experiences that you're able to apply the knowledge you've gained. But, the BC Lions and pro sports in general, it's all peaks and valleys. You're not going to be at the top of the mountain all the time. You're going to have to go into valleys. But very excited, very proud to be part of the BC Lions organization, excited of what Amar's doing with this team as an owner. I think there's great things in store for the BC Lions, and, regardless of title, I always say to people, at the end of the day, I just work there. So, I'm proud to be working for the BC Lions, and I'm going to continue to do my best for as long as I'm with the club.
Yeah, the peak is that of all the CFL is that you get to wake up in Vancouver every day.
Yeah, absolutely. and no complaints in that regard. I think that I've been very fortunate in that regard. And, just enjoying the cruise that we're on right now, and continuing to paddle together, Gina. That's the whole secret to success, is paddling together. And as an organization, if you're doing that on the field and you're doing that on the field, great things are going to happen. So remember what I said, it starts at the top.
It does. And I think you've created such an organization that's given so many people an opportunity to grow and flourish. And you're such a good leader. When you're a leader for 30 years and you work for an organization where you can walk in and feel really great about what you're doing and what you're accomplishing every single day is incredible. And I think when you wear your 4 rings, it's so well deserved, because the team battles on the field for that, but the leadership and the coaching and the management and the ownership really, really is what is a whole team from the very beginning. It's not just on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just to use an analogy for entrepreneurs that are out there, I refer to something I heard the other day called the 3 W's. You've got to want it, you've got to work it, and you've got to win. And if you want it bad enough, you're going to do the work. And if you do those 2, then you're going to win. So be that in sport, be that in business. I think there's so many analogies that parallel one another. Just remember the 3 W's. Want it, work it, and you'll win.
I love it. It's great.
Nice. Wow. Any good words of advice besides that for anybody that's listening right now that wants to participate in sports, that wants to be part of an organization like yourselves for success?
Well, never give up. Never give up on your dream. And it's, true in life. It's true in business. I mentioned earlier, it took me 10 years before I got hired by the BC Lions Football Club. And my attitude was, as I mentioned, if they can't appreciate the job I'm doing for my players, then they can't appreciate the job I could do for the club. So, I think that's true in life. It's true in relationships. It's true in business. It's true in sport. It's true in almost every parallel of life. You've got to believe in yourself and be committed to the cause and work hard. And if you do that, good things happen and you can achieve your dreams.
Yeah. That kid from Chilliwack, here he is.
Well, I'm here. Yeah. And, but a lot of life lessons growing up there and playing sports and, learning a lot along the way. And you never stop learning at the end of the day. That's the beauty of sport. And really being able to apply those metaphors, being able to apply those experiences in your job. When you finish playing sport, it's something that stays with you forever. So sport is good.
Excellent. And can you tell our audience when the Grey Cup festivities start?
Well, November 10th, the teams are going to be coming into town and really, it's the Wednesday. We're going to have the kickoff party, and that's really when the full court press starts. But yeah, between Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then of course the game on Sunday, which is a culmination of the Grey Cup Championship. Like I said, over 50 events for fans to be part of and participate in, and it's going to be a fantastic Grey Cup experience.
For sure.
I can't wait.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. What a great conversation. And the BC Lions just aren't just a team where you see on the field and working to entertain us. Behind the scenes is management, is people that are booking entertainment for us, trying to keep it affordable so that this can be and maintain a family event. And I just congratulate you on all the success because we really enjoy going to the games. And as I'm sure all of our Vancouver and people come from all over BC to come and join us. So
thank you, Gina. Yeah, we've got a great team. It's a great team on the field, a great team off the field, and appreciate your support. And want to thank the fans for their support and looking forward to a wonderful Grey Cup Festival.
Awesome. Thanks so much, George.
Time, George.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Beyond the Lair. Please follow us, download this episode, and follow us on social media on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok.